Hello. Welcome to an adventure. Hopefully, you're having a good week so far. And hopefully you can see and hear me. That's always a concern. Hannah, thank you so much for the 58-month resubscription. It has been 5 years somehow. Let me see. Hi, Hannah. Hi, Stephen Joyce. Hi, Fluidan. Hi, Matt M33. Yeah. Bass and voice check. That's good. Yeah. We're going to have the last archival adventure of the year. Technically, today is the last day of the fall semester here. I should do the full-on introduction, right? Hi, I'm Anthony Wright Day Hernandez, aka Rogan27, Community Collections Archivist here at Virginia Tech, and this is the show where I look at things from the archives, most of which I've never seen before, and we look at them together. We learn whatever we can from them, and it's kind of like an unboxing, but also kind of just like, hey, look at this neat stuff from the past. So yeah, today is the last day of the semester. Exams are over. Nobody's here. Like all the students are gone. Technically, essentially it's a grading day. And employees are still working through the 23rd, unless they're taking some vacation time before that. So it's kind of a quiet day, but the university is closed starting next Wednesday and through the first of the year. So there's no archival adventures for the next 2 weeks because I don't have access to the building. I would say because they're not paying me, except they are, because it's all holiday time now. But so for our final one, usually, in fact, every single time before this, the last episode of the year, Archivist Kira has joined us, and we've done something food-related for the holidays. Archivist Kira joined us a few weeks back, and so this time around... Oh, Matt M33, thank you so much for the 3 stream streak. Hannah, thank you for the 75 stream streak. Wow. Yeah, so we're still doing something sort of seasonal. As you can hear, the lo-fi girl music is appropriate to this time of year. And I have pulled things on the theme of snow. When we look at just a general collection, those are easy to prep. Hang on one second. I was messing with the lights earlier and realized that I hadn't turned one, anyway. So yeah, when we just pull a collection and see what's in it, those are super... Oh, you can barely hear it? Oh, wow. VLC, what are you doing? Hang on one second. I think this might be an OBS thing. Because there should be music. Uh-huh. 2 outs. Mm-hmm. Um... Lovely. Well, hang on one second. Try this. Okay. That worked. So why is it not working? Oh. No. Okay. Now it's probably too loud. How is the music now? Of course something had to not work. Is it really a live stream if there isn't tech that's broken? Hi, was not worth it. Yeah, so if I pull just a collection and we look at it, those are easy to prepare for. Whenever I pick a theme and have to just find things in the archives that are along that theme, that's a bit more intensive to do. Like, that's like a research request. If we're helping somebody with a research request and they come in and say, I have this topic and can you help me find things? So yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff about snow. I don't know how much of it is good for streaming, but we'll find out. Let's... there is a link if the chatbot will give you this. If you care to look through, this is a list of like all of the things that I pulled. And so you can learn about them. And if you see something that you're like, that sounds interesting, let's look at that, just let me know in chat. I do have, one of the things is a record. Unfortunately, like while we have a record player and I could have found a way to connect it into my system to play the record, I don't want to get in trouble for playing copyrighted music, so we won't be listening to it, but we could look at it. And some of these are books, so I don't know exactly how good, like they're not going to be picture books, they're storybooks, but who knows, we could find a poem and look at that. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff. There's no way we get to it all. So let's dive in. I have queued up here, because I was testing how I was going to show these. I have some glass plates, and you can see there's a caption written on this one. Snowdrift of 1890, January and February. I was trying to find a way to invert the colors, because this is a negative. And so in OBS, I was just trying to apply a filter to flip the colors so that black would be white and white would be black. I couldn't find an easy way to do that, surprisingly. So we get to look at the negative. So all that black stuff is snow. At least the black stuff on the ground. It should be really easy to just reverse the colors. I couldn't find like an easy setting to make that change, and it was too close to stream time, so. But these are, which collection are these from? Hang on, I've lost my cursor. I have 4 screens here, you guys. This will be easier. I believe these are from the Henry H. Hill collection. We could learn about Henry. If I remember how things work. Oh, wow. Yeah, you're massively zoomed. That's... Also, it just loaded super weird. Hang on. This is a very strange... I don't know. It didn't find it. Because that would be too easy, right? If things worked properly. Here, I have a link. And apparently the link has broken since I looked it up and put the link on the document. Lovely. I'm just like, it'd be good to know, like, who was this person? Why do we care? Hang on, I have another place I can go. I just never go there, so I didn't actually know the web address. Okay. Oh, congratulations, Matt M33. You've been randomly selected as VIP for the stream. Enjoy your digital gemstone and the ability to affect pun points. Okay, the Henry H. Hill collection. Historical and genealogical research compiled by Hill during his lifetime in Southwest Virginia. It's got biographical information, Blacksburg history in Montgomery County, Virginia Tech, American Civil War history, etc. So who the heck was he? A native of Scottsville, Virginia, Henry Harris Bunker Hill was associated with Virginia Polytechnic Institute, which is Virginia Tech, as a student and professor for more than half a century. He received his Bachelor's of Science in Chemistry in 1907 and his Master of Science in the same subject in 1909. In 1907, Hill was appointed Assistant Chemist, and in 1913, Associate Chemist of the Virginia Agricultural Experiment Station, which is part of Virginia Tech's Extension network. Since we're a land-grant university, we have this whole like extension thing. Before retiring from Virginia Tech in 1950, he served 7 years as the head of the Agricultural Chemistry Department. Was involved in the community, elder in the Presbyterian Church, officer in the Montgomery County Democratic Committee, executive secretary of the Virginia Tech Alumni Association, and publicist for the Athletic Association. Okay. So, faculty member from Virginia Tech. And so this snowdrift here, this is definitely like from here in Blacksburg. I'm gonna pull the next glass plate negative. Also, like, these are sort of substantial in size. These are glass plate negatives. So you would take this like any photographic negative in order to develop it into a photo. Boxes full of these get quite heavy. Snowstorm, 1895. The caption says VAMC, which is Virginia Agricultural and Mechanical College, which is a former name of Virginia Tech. Snow, 1890, January and February. I'm not sure what I'm not sure what this is. But, again, black is white. So all of the trees here have their shadows reversed, and this is the snow. I know for a fact that I'm gonna change how I preface this. I know there was a snowstorm where the cadets had to go and dig out the railroad because there was so much snow the trains couldn't get through. I think it was the 1895 snowstorm, because I know that's around the time period, but I can't say for certain. I would have to go and look up the date to be sure. Oh wow, this one's really discolored. I'm not sure if that's going to be possible to get. I mean, it's just trees again, but the camera doesn't want to pick it up because it's really discolored. I tried doing a light box, but it just washed them out. So, looks like this one has a building though. Snowstorm of 1895. Kind of hard to see the building. I think it's the science building. Let me see if a black background. Oh, the black background is so much better on this. We'll try that on the other one too. There, you can see the science building and all the snow. And by putting it on a black background, it reversed the colors somehow. How did that happen? No, it didn't reverse it. This one is not a negative. This one is a positive image. Anyway, Snowstorm, 1895. See if the black background makes this one any more visible. Not really. Yeah, no. That image is just really washed out and dark. So, oh well. Anyway, those are all the glass plate negatives from that collection featuring that snowstorm. Let's see. I think I'm just gonna randomly pull some things. Because it's been weeks since I pulled this. I don't really remember anything about what I pulled. Let's autofocus, zoom out a little. Random things can be fun. All right. I think the full title of this requires you to look at both covers. Because the sentence starts on the back cover. You could hear the snow dripping and falling into the deer's mouth. It looks... I'm not sure about this discoloration here. It looks intentional, but it also kind of looks like that might be old glue, like something, an image or something was pasted on, but it doesn't have the rough texture that old glue usually has. So I don't know for certain. Also, I don't know why. I've never seen a shortened version of could that just leaves the D off. And dripping has an apostrophe instead of the first I. I think this is a poetry thing. I don't know. Piero Heliczer appears to be the author. Ooh, these are, this is like particle paper. It's not quite as rough as, like, if you've ever, like, made your own recycled paper where you tear up, or you start with a bunch of, like, pulp and, get a screen and press it in and get all the water out of it. That's really rough paper, but, like, that's a thing that elementary kids especially end up doing. This isn't that rough, but it is a rougher, heavier paper. It's definitely particle paper. I don't know. It's also got rough edges. It's definitely done for artistic avant-propos. Thank you for the poems. In absence of a guiding meter, not strict, but a norm on which to make your personal variations, I wish for a music which would fix them permanently on the mind. As it is, they read to me like a translation of poems from a foreign language, which I would like to understand. Forgive me, Robert Graves. That's an interesting review. Hey, I'm glad that you get customers when I stream. If I'm the good luck charm that gets you customers, Fugue 8 appears to have some racy content. I was looking for like a date. I mean, the comment on it is March 7th, 1958. So I presume that that's roughly when it was published. By Piero Heliczer, Girl Body, available through the Dead Language. Titled by Siggy Westberg, photographed by Harold Chapman, press work by The Dead Language, Paris. There's a photograph pasted on the back here. Based on this note, I'm guessing there was a photograph on the cover. I have no idea. Let's read some of it just to see. Do you know who I have chosen for my bed? Lutra, whose mud belly is of sea with foam-veined capillaries. How sensitive she is to that angel's touch, the one who smells of fog. Hope he is not a Chinese laundryman. His eyes are straight cormorant, his beard pleasantly pheasant-feathered. In her told bed of gull's wool, she strokes his male parts. Lutra, whose mud belly is of lute. Wood, the angel smells of wood. Don't take any wooden strangers. The angel says he smells of skirts. His waistcoat of otter fur with hair and beak. Buttons, it is chilly in the clear air. Above the fog, the angel finally enters heaven. I think Robert Graves's comment that it doesn't seem to have a meter and seems sort of like it's translated from a foreign language. I think that rings true. It's, different. Kind of avant-garde, I suppose. I'm looking for snow. Because the title mentions snow. I kind of wonder what drugs they were doing when they wrote these. Let's see. I still don't see any snow mentions. About the birds. Okay, this one has snow. Paris, a scenario for a silent movie. In the first week of the new year, no longer am I, when dusted with feathers from love's girl womb, the sunlight playing on my chin and unlocked words. Sky's tuition is too much fierce cabbages lie in the fields. There is only wind-curved smokestack, holy as a chapel tracery of trees. Strange knots of foam in the sea carpets, so much for the decadent and lame journey, sick in a gasoline-soaked stretcher, with the queer half-believed Benedictite... Benedictite of customs men, and no golden dance robe or Balinese pressure of foot and ankle. I got my news, as always, from the squares of newspaper provided for me in the roadside toilets. I love the chaste light in that ruined body, the clouds like funereal smoke in whitest sky, like giant prehistoric bird skeletons that are small bones of birds in the thickets. And in the half-world I pray for calm, soft of snow. Who will pay that the sky let it go away? And if with that beseeching hangdog at my eye, and if with that cajoling half-whiskey smell of sun, oh, when will it properly go away, the pallbearers scatter? There is a soft pressure at my back, first cold, then warm, in a smell of crumpled newspaper. The Capitol looms before me, its cloth of lives, lies, and lights. Fain would I turn my neck to have a look at it, no matter I see two policemen approaching to play chess with me. As the wind blows the clothes, touch my body, like window wipers. There are certain lines of sensation which seem, through the skin, to stay still, which we call reality. So it is with rain falling into snow. So it is with the yellow grass sprouting under the hay, brittle birds of bone. So it is with snow paying the sky's debt and sending it away, covering all up with a sacristan secret of spider alchemy. The small girl and I immediately have a small baby. He is blue, like a grasshopper Krishna. I rush after the tree man and meet him in a formal deformed. I know tomorrow's news, I whisper. 3 kings arrive with gifts and myrrh, but all the toilets are quite plugged up with newspapers. He nodded, and I shook his hand and walked back through the garden with a coin of resin in my palm. This was some years ago. Now I walk on the side of the street I always avoided, preferring to walk in the gutter. In my palm is a round stain of resin from that handshake. that was certainly something. It's very strange to have poems with, like, endnotes. As the cameraman doesn't own a pair of gloves and wears leather shoes, there will be some imperfections in the filming. At some point, there will be a shot of 2 skeletons in the snow in some open place, such as a Jardin du Luxembourg, with silver paper crowns. The worms have plastic armor to keep warm. What? And I don't even see... Where was the 3 to direct us to a endnote? Oh, apparently I missed 2 entire pages, and none of us noticed. That is, I feel like that's very avant-garde. It's late 1950s, it seems. And, yeah. I'm gonna move on. It's a poem, or it's a book of poetry. And some of it I could sort of follow. Let's try more conventional poetry. Lake English Classics. 3 American poems. Miles Standish, Snowbound, The Raven. Alright, so let me see if I can find Snowbound. By John Greenleaf Whittier. I don't know. I was looking for a date. Copyright 1910 and 1920. So we're definitely past the copyright on this book. But it's not going to give me page numbers, so we have to get past the Longfellow here. Oh. This appears to be a rather lengthy poem, so who knows? We'll see. Let's zoom on in. Apparently there are some handwritten notes in this. Snowbound, a winter idyll. As the spirits of darkness be stronger in the dark, so good spirits, which be angels of light, are augmented not only by the divine light of the sun, but also by our common wood fire. And as the celestial fire drives away dark spirits, so also this is our fire of wood, doth the same. So also this our fire of wood doth the same. Cor Agrippa, Occult Philosophy, Book 1, Chapter 5. I don't know what Cor is abbreviated for. I really only ever hear of Agrippa by their last name, by Agrippa. I am now curious. No, that is not. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa. So this is not the Roman Agrippa that I was thinking of. Anyway. Announced by all the trumpets of the sky, arrives the snow, and driving o'er the fields seems nowhere to alight. The whited air hides hills and woods, the river and the heaven, and veils the farmhouse at the garden's end. The sled and traveler stopped, the courier's feet delayed. All friends shut out. The housemates sit around the radiant fireplace, enclosed in a tumultuous privacy of storm. Emerson, The Snowstorm. Is it... I didn't, study, the classics. Is it common to quote other people at the beginning of your poems? Describe seeing of storm, the prep of storm, snow en masse, and describe scene next morning. I'm guessing it indicated that this was edited for school use, so I'm guessing this was somebody's assignment. The sun, that brief December day, rose cheerless. Wait, he has quite the name. Heinrich Cornelius Agrippa von Nettesheim. I didn't catch the von Nettesheim part when I glanced at it. But anyway, I'm going to read this. Snowbound, a winter idyll. The sun that brief December day rose cheerless over hills of gray, and darkly circled, gave at noon a sadder light than waning moon, slow tracing down the thickening sky its mute and ominous prophecy. A portent seeming less than threat, it sank from sight before it set. A chill no coat, however stout, of homespun stuff could quite shut out. A hard, dull bitterness of cold that checked mid-vein the circling race of lifeblood in the sharpened face. The coming of the snowstorm told. The wind blew east. We heard the roar of ocean on his wintry shore. And felt the strong pulse throbbing there, beat with low rhythm our inland air. Meanwhile, we did our nightly chores, brought in the wood from out of doors, littered the stalls, and from the mows, raked down the herd's grass for the cows, heard the horse whinnying for his corn, and sharply clashing horn on horn. Impatient down the stanchion rows, the cattle shake their walnut bows. While peering from his early perch, upon the scaffold's pole of birch, the cock his crested helmet bent, and down his querulous challenge sent. Unwarmed by any sunset light, the grey day darkened into night. A night made hoary with the swarm and whirl dance of the blinding storm. A zigzag wavering to and fro crossed and recrossed the winged snow, and ere the early bedtime came, the white drift piled the window frame, and through the glass the clothesline posts looked in like tall and sheeted ghosts. So all night long the storm roared on. The morning broke without a sun, in tiny spherule traced with lines of nature's geometric signs. In starry flake and pellicle, all day the hoary meteor fell, and when the second morning shone, we looked upon a world unknown, on nothing we could call our own. Around the glistening wonder bent the blue walls of the firmament, no cloud above, no earth below, a universe of sky and snow. The old familiar sights of ours took marvelous shapes, strange domes and towers, rose up where sty or corn crib stood, or garden wall or belt of wood, a smooth white mound that brush pile showed, a fenceless drift, what once was road. The bridle post an old man sat, with loose-flung coat and high-cocked hat. The well curb had a Chinese roof, and even the long sweep high aloof, in its slant splendor, seemed to tell of Pisa's leaning miracle. A prompt, decisive man, no breath, our father wasted, boys, a path! Well pleased, for when did farmer boy count such a summons less than joy? Our buskins on our feet we drew, with mittened hands and caps drawn low, to guard our necks and ears from snow. We cut the solid whiteness through, and where the drift was deepest, made a tunnel, walled and overlaid with dazzling crystal. We had read of rare Aladdin's wondrous cave, and to our own his name we gave. With many a wish the luck were ours, to test his lamp's supernal powers. We reached the barn with merry din, and roused the prisoned brutes within. The old horse thrust his long head out, and grave with wonder gazed about. The cock his lusty greeting said, and forth his speckled harem led. The oxen lashed their tails and hooked, and mild reproach of hunger looked. The horned patriarch of the sheep, like Egypt's Amun, roused from sleep, shook his sage head with gesture mute, and emphasized with stamp of foot. All day the gusty north wind bore the loosening drift its breath before. Low circling round its southern zone, the sun through dazzling snow mist shone. No church bell lent its Christian tone to the savage air, no social smoke curled over woods of snow-hung oak. A solitude made more intense by dreary-voiced elements. The shrieking of the mindless wind, the moaning tree boughs swaying blind, and on the glass the unmeaning beat of ghostly fingertips of sleep. Beyond the circle of our beyond the circle of our hearth, no welcome sound of toil or mirth. Unbound the spell and testified of human life and thought outside. We minded that the sharpest ear the buried brooklet could not hear, the music of whose liquid lip had been to us companionship, and in our lonely life had grown to have an almost human tone. As night drew on, and from the crest of wooded knolls that ridged the west, the sun, a snow-blown traveler, sank from sight. As night drew on, and from the crest of wooded knolls that ridged the west, the sun, a snow-blown traveler, sank from sight beneath the smothering bank. We piled with care our nightly stack of wood against the chimney back. The oaken log, green, huge, and thick, and on its top the stout backstick. The knotty forestick laid apart, and filled between with curious art. The ragged brush, then hovering near, we watched the first red blaze appear, heard the sharp crackle, caught the gleam of whitewashed wall and sagging beam, until the old rude finished room burst flower-like into rosy bloom, while radiant with a mimic flame outside the sparkling drift became, and through the bare-boughed lilac tree our own warm hearth seemed blazing free. The crane and pendant trammels showed the Turks' heads, and the andirons glowed, while childish fancy, prompt to tell the meaning of the miracle, whispered the old rhyme under the tree. When fire outdoors burns merrily, there the witches are making tea. The moon above the eastern wood shone at its full. The hill range stood, transfigured in the silver flood, its blown snows flashing cold and keen, dead white, save where some sharp ravine took shadow, or the somber green of hemlocks turned to pitchy black against the whiteness of their back. For such a world and such a night, most fitting that unwarming light, which only seemed where'er it fell to make the coldness visible. Shut in from all the world without, we sat the clean-winged hearth about, content to let the north wind roar in baffled rage at pane and door, while the red logs before us beat the frost line back with tropic heat, and ever when a louder blast shook beam and rafter as it passed, the merrier up its roaring draft, I don't know. The great throat, the great throat of the chimney laughed. The house dog on his paws outspread laid to the fire his drowsy head. The cat's dark silhouette on the wall, a couchant tiger's, seemed to fall, and for the winter fireside meat, between the andirons' straddling feet, the mug of cider simmered slow, the apples sputtered in a row, and close at hand the basket stood with nuts from brown October's wood. What matter how the night behaved? What matter how the north wind raved? Blow high, blow low, not all its snow could quench our hearth fire's ruddy glow. O time and change! With hair as grey as was my sire's that winter day, how strange it seems with so much gone of life and love to still live on. Ah, brother, only I and thou are left of all that circle now, and the dear home faces whereupon that fitful firelight paled and shone. Henceforward listen as we will, the voices of that hearth are still. Look where we may, the wide earth o'er, those lighted faces smile no more. We tread the paths their feet have worn. We sit beneath their orchard trees. We hear, like them, the hum of bees. And rustle of the bladed corn. We turn the pages that they read, their written words we linger o'er, but in the sun they cast no shade. No voice is heard, no sign is made. No step is on the conscious floor, yet love will dream and faith will trust, since he who knows our need is just, that somehow, somewhere, meet we must, alas for him who never sees the stars shine through his cypress trees, who hopeless lays his dead away, nor looks to see the breaking day across the mournful marbles play. Who hath not learned, in hours of faith, the truth to flesh and sense unknown, that life is ever lord of death, and love can never lose its own? We sped the time with stories old, wrought puzzles out, and riddles told, or stammered from our schoolbook lore the chief of Gambia's golden shore. How often since, when all the land was clay in slavery's shaping hand, as if a far-blown trumpet stirred the languorous, sin-sick air, I heard, does not the voice of reason cry, claim the first right which nature gave, from the red scourge of bondage fly, nor deign to live a burdened slave? Our father rode again his ride on Memphremagog's wooded side, sat down again to moose and samp, in trapper's hut and Indian camp, lived o'er the old idyllic ease, beneath St. Francois's hemlock trees. Again for him the moonlight shone on Norman cap and bodiced zone. Again he heard the violin play, which led the village dance away, and mingled in its merry whirl the grandame and the laughing girl. Or nearer home our steps he led, where Salisbury's level marshes spread, mile wide as flies the laden bee, where merry mowers, hale and strong, swept scythe on scythe their swaths along the low green prairies of the sea. We shared the fishing off Boar's Head, and round the rocky isles of shoals, the hake broil on the driftward coals, the chowder on the sand beach made, dipped by the hungry steaming hot, with spoons of clamshell from the pot. We heard the tales of witchcraft old, and dreams and sign and marvel told, to sleepy listeners as they lay, stretched idly on the salted hay, adrift along the winter shores. when favoring breezes deigned to blow, the square sail of the gondola, and idle lay the useless oars. Our mother, while she turned her wheel, or run the new knit stocking heel, told how the Indian hordes came down at midnight on Cocheco town, and how her own great uncle bore his cruel scalp mark to fourscore, recalling in her fitting phrase, so rich and picturesque and free, the common unrhymed poetry of simple life and country ways, the story of her early days. She made us welcome to her home. Old hearths grew wide to give us room. We stole her a frightened look at the grey wizard's conjuring book, the fame whereof went far and wide through all the simple countryside. We heard the hawks at twilight play, the boat horn on Piscataway. Piscataqua. Wow, the boat horn on Piscataqua. The loon's weird laughter far away. We fished her little trout brook, knew what flowers in wood and meadow grew, what sunny hillsides autumn brown. She climbed to shake the ripe nuts down, saw where in sheltered cove and bay the duck's black squadron anchored lay, and heard the wild geese calling loud beneath the grey November cloud. Then, haply, with a look more grave and soberer tone, some tale she gave from painful Sewell's ancient tome, beloved in every Quaker home, of faith fire-winged by martyrdom, or Chalkley's journal, old and quaint, gentlest of skippers, rare sea saint, who when the dreary calms prevailed, and water butt and bread cask failed, and cruel hungry eyes pursued his portly presence mad for food, with dark hints muttered under breath, oh dear, of casting lots for life or death, offered in heaven withheld supplies, to be himself the sacrifice. Then suddenly, as if to save the good man from his living grave, a ripple on the water grew, a school of porpoise flashed in view. Take, eat, he said, and be content. These fishes in my stead are sent by him who gave the tangled ram to spare the child of Abraham. We're about to be attacked by advertisements, so I'm going to take a break there, and I'll be right back. Welcome back. The advertac should be over. I did not know this poem was this long. I'm gonna try and finish it. There's a few more pages. Our uncle, innocent of books, was rich in lore of fields and brooks, the ancient teachers never dumb of nature's unhoused lyceum. In moons and tides and weatherwise, he read the clouds as prophecies, and foul or fair could well divine by many an occult hint and sign, holding the cunning warded keys to all the woodcraft mysteries, himself to nature heart so near that all her voices in his ear, of beast or bird had meanings clear, like Apollonius of old, who knew the tales the sparrows told, or Hermes, who interpreted what the sage cranes of Nilus said, a simple, guileless, childlike man, content to live where life began, strong only on his native grounds, the little world of sights and sounds, whose girdle was the parish bounds, whereof his fondly partial pride the common features magnified, as Surrey hills to mountains grew, in white of Selborne's loving view. He told how teal and loon he shot, and how the eagle's eggs he got, the feats on pond and river done, the prodigies of rod and gun, till warming with the tales he told, forgotten was the outside cold. The bitter wind unheeded blew from ripening corn, the pigeons flew. The partridge drummed i' the wood, the mink went fishing down the river brink. In fields with bean or clover gay, the woodchuck like a hermit gray peered from the doorway of his cell. The muskrat plied the mason's trade, and tier by tier his mud walls laid, and from the shagbark overhead the grizzled squirrel dropped his shell. Next, the dear aunt, whose smile of cheer and voice in dreams I see and hear, the sweetest woman ever fate perverse denied a household mate, who, lonely, homeless, not the less, found peace in love's unselfishness, and welcome wheresoe'er she went, a calm and gracious element, whose presence seemed the sweet income and womanly atmosphere of home, called up her girlhood memories, the huskings and the applebees, the sleigh rides and the summer sails, weaving through all the poor details, and homespun warp of circumstance, a golden woof thread of romance, for well she kept her genial mood, and simple faith of maidenhood. Before her still a cloud land lay, the mirage loomed across her way, the morning dew that dried so soon, with others glistened at her noon. Through years of toil and soil and care, from glossy trees to thin gray hair, all unprofaned she held apart the virgin fancies of the heart. Be shame to him of woman born, who had for such but thought of scorn. Thereto our elder sister plied her evening task that stand beside, a full, rich nature free to trust, truthful and almost sternly just, impulsive, earnest, prompt to act, and make her generous thought a fact, keeping with many a light disguise the secret of self-sacrifice. O heart sore tried, thou hast the best that heaven itself could give thee, rest. Rest from all bitter thoughts and things. How many a poor one's blessing went with thee beneath the low green tent, whose curtain never outward swings. As one who held herself apart of all she saw, and let her heart against the household bosom lean, upon the motley braided mat our youngest and our dearest sat, lifting her large, sweet, asking eyes, now bathed within the fadeless green and holy peace of paradise. O, looking from some heavenly hill, or from the shade of saintly palms, or silver reach of river calms, do those large eyes behold me still, with me one little year ago? The chill weight of the winter snow for months upon her grave has lain, and now when summer south winds blow, and briar and harebell bloom again, I tread the pleasant paths we trod, I see the violet-sprinkled sod, whereupon she leaned too frail and weak, the hillside flowers she loved to seek, yet following me where'er I went, with dark eyes full of love's content. The birds are glad, the briar rose fills the air with sweetness, all the hills stretch green to June's unclouded sky, but still I wait with ear and eye for something gone which should be nigh, a loss in all familiar things, in flower that blooms and bird that sings, and yet, dear heart, remembering thee, am I not richer than of old? Safe in thy immortality, what change can reach the wealth I hold? What chance can mar the pearl and gold thy love hath left in trust with me? And while in life's late afternoon, where cool and long the shadows grow, I walk to meet the night that soon shall shape and shadow overflow, I cannot feel that thou art far, since near at need the angels are, and when the sunset gates unbar, shall I not see thee waiting stand? And while against the evening star the welcome of thy beckoning hand, brisk wielder of the birch and rule, the master of the district school, held at the fire his favored place, its warm glow lit a laughing face, fresh-hued and fair where scarce appeared the uncertain prophecy of beard. He teased the mitten-blinded cat, played crosspins on my uncle's hat, sang songs, and told us what befalls in classic Dartmouth's college halls. Born the wild northern hills among, from whence his yeoman farther rung, by patient toil subsistence scant, not competence, and yet not want, he early gained the power to pay his cheerful self-reliant way, could doff at ease his scholar's gown to peddle wares from town to town, or through the long vacations reach in lonely lowland districts teach, where all the droll experience found at stranger hearths in boarding round, the moonlit skater's keen delight, a sleigh drive through the frosty night, the rustic party with its rough accompaniment of blind man's buff, and whirling plate and forfeits paid, his winter task a pastime made. Happy the snow-locked homes wherein he tuned his merry violin, or played the athlete in the barn, or held the good dame's winding yarn, or mirth-provoking versions told of classic legends rare and old, wherein the scenes of Greece and Rome had all the commonplace of home, and little seemed at best the odds twixt Yankee peddlers and old gods, where Pindusborn Arachthus took the guise of any gristmill brook, and dread Olympus at his will became a Huckleberry Hill. A careless boy that night he seemed, but at his desk he had the look and air of one who wisely schemed, and hostage from the future took in trained thought and lore of book. Large-brained, clear eyes of such as he shall freedom's young apostles be, who, following in war's bloody trail, shall every lingering wrong assail. All chains from limb and spirit strike, uplift the black and white alike, scatter before their swift advance the darkness and the ignorance, the pride, the lust, the squalid sloth, which nurtured treason's monstrous growth, made murder pastime, and the hell of prison torture possible. The cruel lie of caste refute, old forms remold and substitute for slavery's lash the freeman's will. For blind routine, wise-handed skill, a schoolhouse plant on every hill stretching in radiant nerve lines thence, the quick wires of intelligence, till north and south together brought shall own the same electric thought, in peace a common flag salute, and side by side in labor's free and unresentful rivalry, harvest the fields wherein they fought. Another guest that winter night flashed back from lustrous eyes the light, unmarked by time and yet not young, the honeyed music of her tongue, and words of meekness scarcely told a nature passionate and bold, strong, self-concentred, spurning guide, its milder features dwarfed beside her unbent will's majestic pride. She sat among us at the best, a not unfeared, half-welcome guest, rebuking with her cultured phrase our homeliness of words and ways. A certain pard-like treacherous gaze swayed the lithe limbs and dropped the lash, lent the white teeth their dazzling flash. And under the low brows black with night, rayed out at times a dangerous light, the sharp heat lightnings of her face, presaging ill to him whom fate condemned to share her love or hate. A woman tropical, intense, in thought and act, in soul and sense, she blended in, like degree, the vixen and the devotee, revealing with each freak or feint the temper of Petruchio's Kate, the raptures of Siena's saint. Her tapering hand and rounded wrist had facile power to form a fist. The warm, dark languish of her eyes was never safe from wrath's surprise. Brows saintly calm and lips devout knew every change of scowl and pout, and the sweet voice had notes more high and shrill for social battle cry. Since then, what old cathedral town had missed her pilgrim's staff and gown? What covenant gate has held its lock against the challenge of her knock? Through Smyrna's plague-hushed thoroughfares, up sea-set Malta's rocky stairs, gray olive slopes of hills that hem thy tombs and shrines, Jerusalem, or startling on her desert throne, the crazy queen of Lebanon. With claims fantastic as her own, her tireless feet have held their way, and still, unrestful, bowed, and gray, she watches under eastern skies, with hope each day renewed and fresh, the Lord's quick coming in the flesh, whereof she dreams and prophesies. Prophesies. Where'er her troubled path may be, the Lord's sweet pity with her go. The outward wayward life we see, the hidden springs we may not know, nor is it given to us to discern what threads the fatal sisters spun. Through what ancestral years has run the sorrow with the woman born, what forged her cruel chain of moods, what set her feet in solitudes, and held the love within her mute. What mingled madness in the blood, a lifelong discord and annoy, water of tears with oil of joy, and hid within the folded bud perversities of flower and fruit. It is not ours to separate the tangled skein of will and fate, to show what metes and bounds should stand upon the soul's debatable land, and between choice and providence divide the circle of events. But he who knows our frame is just, merciful and compassionate, and full of sweet assurances, and hope for all the language is that he remembereth we are dust. At last the great logs crumbling low sent out a dull and duller glow. The bullseye watch that hung in view, ticking its weary circuit through, pointed with mutely warning sign its black hand to the hour of 9. That sign the pleasant circle broke. My uncle ceased his pipe to smoke, knocked from its bowl the refuse gray, and laid it tenderly away, then roused himself to safely cover the dull red brand with ashes over, and while with care our mother laid the work aside, her steps she stayed, one moment seeking to express her grateful sense of happiness for food and shelter, warmth and health, and love's contentment more than wealth. With simple wishes, not the weak, vain prayers, which no fulfillment seek, but such as warm the generous heart, or prompt to do with heaven its part. That none might lack that bitter night for bread and clothing, warmth and light. Within our beds, a while we heard the wind that round the gables roared, with now and then a ruder shock, which made our very bedsteads rock. We heard the loosened clapboards tossed, the board nails snapping in the frost, and on us through the unplastered wall felt the light sifted snowflakes fall. But sleep stole on, as sleep will do when hearts and light and life is new. Faint and more faint the murmurs grew, till in the summer land of dreams they softened to the sound of streams, low stir of leaves and dip of oars, and lapsing waves on quiet shores. Next morn we wakened with the shout of merry voices, high and clear, and saw the teamsters drawing near to break the drifted highways out. Down the long hillside, treading slow, we saw the half-buried oxen go, shaking the snow from heads uptossed, their straining nostrils white with frost. Before our door the straggling train drew up an added team to gain. The eiders threshed, their hands a cold, passed with the cider mug their jokes, from lip to lip the younger folks, down the loose snowbanks wrestling rolled, then toiled again the cavalcade, o'er windy hill through clogged ravine, and woodland paths that wound between low drooping pine boughs. Winter weighed from every barn a team afoot, at every house a new recruit, where, drawn by nature's subtlest law, haply the watchful young men saw sweet doorway pictures of the curls and curious eyes of merry girls, lifting their hands in mock defense against the snowball's compliments, and reading in each missive tossed the charm which Eden never lost. We heard once more the sleigh bells sound, and following where the teamsters led, the wise old doctor went his round, just pausing at our door to say, in the brief autocratic way of one who, prompt at duty's call, was free to urge her claim on all, that some poor neighbor sick abed at night our mother's aid would need, for one in generous thought and deed, what mattered in the sufferer's sight the Quaker matron's inward light, the doctor's mail of Calvin's creed. All hearts confess the saints elect, who twain in faith, in love agree, and melt not in an acid sect, the Christian pearl of charity. So days went on, a week had passed, since the great world was heard from last. The almanac we studied o'er, read and reread our little store of books and pamphlets, scarce a score. One harmless novel, mostly hid from younger eyes, a book forbid, and poetry, or good or bad. A single book was all we had, where Elwood's meek, drab-skirted muse, a stranger to the heathen nine, sang, with a somewhat nasal whine, the wars of David and the Jews. At last the floundering carrier bore the village paper to our door. Lo, broadening outward as we read, to warmer zones the horizon spread. In panoramic length unrolled, we saw the marvel that it told. Before us passed the painted creeks, and daft MacGregor on his raids in Costa Rica's Everglades, and up Tagentus winding slow rode Ypsilanti's Mainot Greeks, a Turk's head at each saddle bow. A Turk's head at each saddle bow. Welcome to us, its week-old news, its corner for the rustic muse, its monthly gauge of snow and rain, its record mingling in a breath, the wedding bell and dirge of death, jest, anecdote, and lovelorn tale, the latest culprit sent to jail. Its hue and cry of stolen and lost, its vendue sales and goods at cost, and traffic calling loud for gain. We felt the stir of hall and street, the pulse of life that round us beat. The chill embargo of the snow was melted in the genial glow. Wide swung again our ice-locked door, and all the world was ours once more. Clasp, angel of the backward look, and folded wings of ashen gray, and voice of echoes far away. The brazen covers of thy book, the weird palimpsest old and vast, wherein thou hidst the spectral past, where closely mingling pale and glow, the characters of joy and woe, the monographs of outlived years, or smile illumed, or dim with tears. Great hills of life that slope to death, and haunts of home whose vistade trees shade off to mournful cypresses, while the white amaranths, with the white amaranths underneath. Even while I look, I can but heed the restless sands' incessant fall, infortunate hours that hours succeed, each clamorous with its own sharp need, and duty keeping pace with all. Shut down and clasp the heavy lids, I hear again the voice that bids the dreamer leave his dream midway for larger hopes and graver fears. Life greatens in these later years. The century's aloe flowers today. Yet haply in some lull of life, some truce of God which breaks its strife, the worldling's eyes shall gather dew, dreaming in throngful city ways of winter joys his boyhood knew, and dear and early friends, the few who yet remain, shall pause to view these Flemish pictures of old days, sit with me by the homestead hearth, and stretch the hands of memory forth to warm them at the wood fire's blaze, and thanks untraced to lips unknown shall greet me like the odors blown from unseen meadows newly mown, or lilies floating in some pond, wood-fringed, the wayside gaze beyond. The traveler owns the grateful sense of sweetness near, he knows not whence, and pausing takes with forehead bare the benediction of the air. Whew. Sight reading that poem was challenging. It was much longer than I expected. The title of the episode came from this poem. I don't know if you caught it. It was the very first exclamation. Here. A universe of sky and snow. That was what I titled it. Sterling, thank you. Sterling, thank you so much for the 19-month resubscription. Shadows of Life, thank you for the bit. One bit from dark and cold the shadows comes. Full of life they may be. Let's see. Hannah put some information in the chat. It's nice to see you, Sterling. I was thinking of you earlier today. I'll tell you later why. But yeah. Let's see. John Greenleaf Whittier was an American Quaker poet and advocate of the abolition of slavery in the United States. That was definitely represented in this poem. Frequently listed as one of the fireside poets, he was influenced by the Scottish poet Robert Burns. Whittier is remembered particularly for his anti-slavery writings, as well as his 1866 book, Snowbound. Hemlock trees are probably the Tsuga tree, which is in the pine tree family. They got the nickname hemlock due to them smelling similar to the hemlock plant, but the trees aren't poisonous. Interesting. I think that was a good poem. It had a little bit of, it had me thinking toward mid to end of Canterbury Tales, because basically they're snowbound. There's a snowstorm. He describes the snowstorm at the beginning. It snows for at least 2 days and everything's covered in snow and they're stuck inside and they don't have much to do. And so then they all end up telling tales. Each person that's there talks about their past or tells a tale, and then he comments on what they talked about. And so it's one of them reflects on summers past, and one of them talks about winter as a boy, and so it's the different sections. It's different speakers, and so he describes who it is and what their background is, and then comments on it. And then moves on to the next person. And so basically, while they're sitting there next to the fire in the hearth, they're all, sort of talking about their past, which is why it reminded me a little of the Canterbury Tales, because each character in the Canterbury Tales tells their tale over the course of the book, or long poem, or I don't know. And so this reminded me a little bit of that. And so then by the end, the oxen have come through and they've cleared the roadways, picking up additional helpers at each residence. And then they finally get a newspaper delivered and have something new to read and dream about going to warm places. I actually think it was a really good poem. And it was definitely snow related. Okay, let's see. I've got some other things here. I don't know that I'll read an entire thing again, but this one, Snow, a play in 4 acts by Stanislaw Przybyszewski. I have no idea if I pronounced that last name correctly. And it's very unusual to have so much text on the cover. With Poland become a nation again, the publication in English of this play by one of the foremost writers in modern Polish literature seems especially appropriate. Few have gone further than he in the analysis and portrayal of the naked human soul, and many things that seem strange and mysterious in the Polish mind are made luminous, for it is in the works of geniuses that the inmost secrets of a nation are most frequently laid bare. On a snow-swept winter's day, beside a huge fireplace, in an ancient Polish castle, 4 human beings, 2 brothers, the last of their race, the wife of one and another woman, work out their destiny, torment each other, and love. Against the intense conflict of passions within is set the symbol of the cold whiteness of the snow covering all the landscape without. Great elemental principles are typified in each of the leading characters. There is a strange commingling of resignation and vibrant affirmation and a mysterious yearning for something that is greater than or beyond human life itself. In speech after speech, it is as though we heard the poignant and haunting motives of a Chopin prelude or a nocturne singing its questionings and beauty. Interesting to have a description like that on the cover. MCMXX, 1920. Yeah, I'm not going to read a play right now. We definitely don't have time for that, but interesting. Przybyszewski. I thought I had one that was actually in Russian, which I wouldn't be able to read, but oh, might be this one. Moscow in the wilderness, Segovia in the snow. Where is it in a hurry to get to? I don't know. By Lawrence Ferlinghetti, which sounds very Italian. Ferlinghetti. Trying to get away. Also, this does not open like a book. It's not in Russian. It is a poem. Let me just weight down so that the folds don't interfere. It's short enough I could read it. Okay, I'm gonna have to zoom out to show you the whole thing because it is large. In fact, I can't zoom out far enough. Hang on. Like, I actually had to physically raise the camera higher to be able to show you the entirety of the thing. And it appears that there is a guitar case sitting in snow as the, this illustration. Okay, let's try. I'm gonna pause the video so that I can move this to where I can read it without having to, like, move it around a lot. Moscow in the wilderness, Segovia in the snow. Moscow, San Francisco, March 1967, by Lawrence Ferlinghetti. Midnight Moscow airport sucks me in from Siberia and blows me out alone in a black bus down dark straight night roads, stark snow plains, eternal taiga, into monster Moscow, stands of white birches ghosted in the gloaming, where of a sudden Segovia bursts through. Over the airwaves, they've let him in to drive the dark bus. Segovia's hands grasp the steering wheel. Yokels and housing projects drop their balalaikas, and birch banjos. Segovia comes on like the pulse of life itself. Segovia comes on through the snowdrifts and plains of La Mancha, fields and fields and fields of frozen music melted on bus radios. Segovia at the instrument, driving through the night land of Antequera, Granada, Seville. Tracery of the Alhambra in a billion white birches. Born in the snow, trills of blackbirds in them. Segovia warms his hands and melts Moscow, moves his hand with a circular motion over an ivory bridge to gutted Stalingrads. Segovia knows no answer. He's no Goya and he's no Picasso, but also he's no sleeping gypsy with guitar, guarded by a lion who knows if he slept with Franco. He knows black condors fly. He knows a free world when he hears one. His strums are runs upon it. He does not fret. He plucks his guts. He fucks hate and makes love, and listens to himself as he plays, and speaks to himself, and echoes himself. And he keeps driving and driving his instrument down the wide dark ways into great Moscow. Down the black boulevards, past Kremlin lit and locked in its hard dream in the great Russian night, past Bolshoi Ballet and Gorky Institute, John Reed at the Drama Theater, Stalyagi and Heroin at Taganka, Stone Mayakovsky stares through a blizzard of white notes in Russian winter light. Segovia hears his stoned cry, and he hears the pulse in the blood as he listens to life, as he plays, and he keeps coming and coming through the Russian winter night. He's in Moscow, but doesn't know it. He played somewhere else, and it comes out here in a thaw on an airwave. Over Gogol's dark people, stark figures, in the white night streets, clotted in the snow. He listens to them as he goes along. He listens for a free song, such as he hardly hears back home. Is Lenin listening after 50 Octobers? Segovia walks through the snow, listening as he goes down Vorovsky Street to the Writers' Union. He meets the old hares that run it. They dig him, and they know what it means to dig in mahogany cities. Segovia teaches them open tuning, with which they can play anything freely and simply. This is not his masterclass. He leaves them humming and goes on. Segovia plays in the loose snow and digs a bit alone under the free surface with his pick. He strikes softly as he listens. He hears a dull thud where something is buried, a familiar thud, such as he sometimes hears back home. He drops his pick and goes on down Vorovsky Street. His music has a longing sound. He yearns and yet does not yearn. He exists and is tranquil in spite of all. He has no message. He is his own message, his own ideal sound, and he sounds so lonely to himself as he goes on playing in the iron white streets. And he is saying, I say all I know, and I know no meaning. He is saying, this is the song of evening when the Sphinx lies down. This is the song of the day that begins and begins. The night lifts its white nightstick. The ash of life dries my song. If you only knew. He is saying, my love, where are you? Under the pomegranate tree. He is saying, where is joy, where is ecstasy? Stretched out in the snow where only the birds are at home. He is saying, there's a huge emptiness here that stares from all the faces. All that is lost must be looked for once more. He is saying, far from me, you are the hour and the generation they marked for result. He is saying, I am your ruin, unique and immortal. I am your happiness unknown. I am light where you are dark, where you are heavy. He is saying, I am an old man and life flowers in the windows of the sun, but where is the sun? The sun, Soliaris. On the steps of a jail that looks like a church, he finds a white bird. What is important in life, says the bird. Segovia says, nada, but keeps on playing Soliaris, Soliaris, Soliaris. And he cries out now, when he sees a strange woman or sees a strange thing, and he hears many strange women and many strange things after 50 Octobers and 50 strange springs, and Segovia follows them down their streets and into their houses and into their rooms and into the night of their beds, and waits for them to make love, and waits for them to speak, and waits for them to speak, and he cries out now when he hears them speak, at last in their last retreat. No, he doesn't cry out. He never cries out. He is taciturn and never sings. Only his instrument speaks and sings. But when it does sing, when it does cry out at what it hears, an ancient armadillo asleep for centuries in the cellar of the Kremlin raises its horny head, opens its square third eye, and looks around blinking, and then at last unglues its great gut mouth and utters ecstatic static. Interesting. I did not realize that Segovia was going to be a person. Thought it was a place. That was an interesting poem. And yeah, there were some historic terms in there. What did you all think of that one? It was certainly snow related. Let's see. I think I have a... It's not a particularly old one, but I do have a cookbook. I'm gonna bring this down again to where it's supposed to be. Oh, actually, we're getting close to the end of the year's episodes. So I think something food related. Good choice. Jeri Quinzio of Sugar and Snow, a history of ice cream making. It doesn't look like this has ever been opened before, so I don't want to break the spine. We will be gentle. California Studies in Food and Culture. Okay. 2009. Early ices and iced creams. Can zoom in a little. Creme de la creme, sorry. Ingenious Foreigners and Others, The Land of Ice Cream, Screaming for Ice Cream, Women's Work, Modern Times, Ice Cream for Breakfast, Industry and Artistry. I'm curious about the Land of Ice Cream. What about you all? Is there a chapter that you want me to jump to? Like, I'm thinking either 4 or 5. The Land of Ice Cream or Screaming for Ice Cream. Or possibly Ice Cream for Breakfast. $8. Ice Cream for Breakfast? Sure. It helps if I look at the page. $1.80. It's interesting. This is not a cookbook and does not have pictures. I'm surprised. When Howard Deering Johnson was a child in Quincy, Massachusetts, he loved the strawberry ice cream his mother made on Sunday afternoons in the summer. She used fresh cream from the family's cows and luscious ripe strawberries, and he never forgot the flavor. The years passed and Johnson grew up. He served in France during World War I, came back, and worked as a salesman for his father's cigar business. In 1925, he bought a drugstore with a small soda fountain in Quincy's Wollaston neighborhood. Johnson started out by buying his ice cream from a local manufacturer, but he remembered good ice cream, and this was not good ice cream. Every time we opened up a drum of vanilla in front of a customer, the fumes gave away the artificial flavoring, he recalled later. He decided to provide his customers with ice cream that was as good as the homemade ice cream they all remembered. His first batch was not a success. When he served it, one customer said it would be just great if he could get the sand out of it. And Johnson kept working on the mixture, and soon he was making a rich, high butterfat, smooth ice cream. Before long, people were lining up for Howard Johnson's ice cream. Since the soda fountain seated only 10 people, he decided to expand by opening an ice cream stand at nearby Wollaston Beach during the summer. To attract attention, he painted the stand orange. Whether it was the bright color or the quality of the ice cream, the stand drew crowds. On one hot August day, Johnson sold 14,000 ice cream cones. He packed the ice cream in drums at the drugstore and delivered it to the beach in a taxi cab. When the ice cream ran out, he'd send back to the store for more and call out to the crowd, "Stand by, everybody, more ice cream is on its way." By 1929, business could hardly have been better. Then the Depression hit. The Depression of the 30s and the repeal of Prohibition were devastating for the ice cream business. Opinions vary as to which was more to blame, but the combination hit the business hard. As one industry magazine put it, the dime that went for soda now frequently goes for beer. Ice cream had been one of the nation's fastest growing industries. In 1929, Americans were eating 9 quarts of ice cream per person annually. Production was more than 277 million gallons. In 1933, production dropped below 162 million gallons, and annual per person consumption dropped to just over 5 quarts. Okay, but what does this have to do with breakfast? That's what I want to find out, is what does this have to do with breakfast? Ice cream bootleggers? The Depression also gave rise to ice cream bootleggers. They provided lesser grade ice cream to retailers who sold it from refrigerator cabinets bearing the brand name of reputable manufacturers. Counterfeit ice cream. A 1933 issue of Business Week provided a succinct definition of a bootlegger. Quote, a small, often a hole-in-wall manufacturer who makes ice cream after his own standards, which may or may not be those prescribed by state laws, and sells it to dealers for less than the popular advertised brands cost them. His chief sin in the eyes of his big competitors is that he frequently tempts their dealers to let him put his 40-quart cans in the shiny refrigerated cabinets that they furnish for the exclusive use of their own product. Unquote. Bootleg ice cream sold for as little as 10 cents a package. Huh. I did not know that there was counterfeit ice cream during the Depression. Oh, there is a recipe in here for chocolate ice cream. Wow. But I don't understand why it's called ice cream for breakfast. Well, somebody will have to read the whole chapter and let me know if there's anything to do with breakfast in there, because I have no idea why that is the title of that chapter. You know, I had so many ice cream related things here. There's From Snow to Snow, snow related things, not ice cream related things. From Snow to Snow by Robert Frost. From Snow on the North Side of Lucifer by Alan Sillitoe. No idea what that one even is. It's very short. Well, it has a poem, a very short poem. Snow on the north side of Lucifer. Snow on the north side of Lucifer melts less as decades drift it high. Packed snow sends pain to heart and entrails. The agony of human pride shows in the whitened eyes of his grim roar, and deadened features mark that poised familiar visage. The face changes. Many masks fit his basic face, but the sun's scalding flame never melts the snow on Lucifer's north side, whose secret will stay frozen to the last. Interesting. And then I had, let's see. One Horse Open Sleigh. From Washburn Publishing Company. And it's just the lyrics. Like, I guess this would be like a lyric sheet that you would take caroling. Doesn't appear to have a date on it. But it's definitely not new. Getting it back in the little envelope that it was in to go on the shelf is something I will do after the stream because it wasn't very easy. Snow Dream by Harold Massingham. Yeah, so many things. This one has such a beautiful cover. It's The Long Winter by Laura Ingalls Wilder. Multiple copies of The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. What is this one? 1928. The Buck in the Snow and Other Poems by Edna St. Vincent Millay. Yeah, I knew that we wouldn't get to everything. I didn't realize how long that poem was, but Anne Beresford, Footsteps on Snow. Like, most of the snow-related things I found were from our British and American literature collections. There wasn't a lot in manuscript stuff, but that's fine. But that is going to be the end of the Snow Archival Adventures and the end of Archival Adventures for 2025. As there will be no more episodes until January. A date in January. It should be the first Wednesday in January, which is the 7th? Yeah, January 7th should be the next episode. Of course, me. Thank you to my mods that were here today, Hannah and Sterling. Thank you for the resubscriptions, Hannah and Sterling, and thank you for the Bit Shadows of Life. We have been listening to the 2025 Christmas music playlist from Lo-Fi Girl. Let me see who we're gonna raid today. Let me just mute this site. Well, we have, of course, Stephen Joyce is on. Paleontologizing. Honorary Aquarium. Well, because I can, and because it is the final episode of the year, and because I just really, really like this person, and they have a wonderful community and wonderful streams, we're gonna pop on over to Stephen Joy's. I know, not terribly surprising, but Stephen has wonderful tiny hats, a great community, and I encourage you all to hop on over there with me and enjoy some time with a lovely streamer. I will go ahead and start those raids. But yeah, thank you all so very much for joining me for Archival Adventures. It's been 5 years that I've been doing this, and we've really not repeated content very much. It's been an interesting ride so far. Don't plan to quit anytime soon, so join me in January for the next episode. I will be doing some gaming streams between now and then if you want to pop onto my channel and watch those. But yeah, thank you for joining me. Hope I see you all again soon. Until I do, keep exploring history.